Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Ask How About. I'm your host, Brian J. Reddy, and I'm trying something new because it's 2021 and that's why I'm wearing a t shirt. Oh, and by the way, speaking of 2021, how's it been so far? Very, unevent- very uneventful, right? Or no? Maybe? I don't know. Why don't we just ask WhatsApp about that shit? The reason I bring up WhatsApp is because it's been in the news in the past few days, or maybe forever, because of the privacy statement and how users have now started boycotting the use of WhatsApp. And I will get to the point in a minute because it's related to our topic today, communication. But for all the people out there, I just ask, do you guys not know what happens to your data? Do you really think by boycotting WhatsApp, you're going to prevent all the information stolen from you? I mean, think about it. Facebook owns you, man. Facebook owns Facebook and Instagram. Where are you going to run? Are you not going to be on social media anymore? Well, then, you going to delete all social media and just live like a savage? I mean, then how else would I know about my ex-girlfriend living with a boyfriend who's now completed the 1 year anniversary and then now have a dog? And I don't know. I mean, it's just a very wholesome family. And I really am happy about it. But seriously though, communication is a part of all of our lives. It's just fake news, fake journalism, all that has been established due to this digital age. And I'm not blaming it all on social media or the digital age because it's always been happening. And more than that, data and communication is very important and vital. And that is why, in all the chaos, one part of communication, or rather one facet of communication, is being lost. And that is research communication. Now, you might be like, come on, man, that's not what this is related to, but it very much is. Research communication is just explanation of scientific concepts in a simple way. And how is that helpful? Well, if you knew the world you were living in, a world which we all helped create into a scientific marvel, well, then maybe you'd know what's right and what's wrong, and you can prevent something bad from happening before it happens. And which is exactly what's happening right now.
Exactly.
That is why I believe research communication is key for all our betterment. And well, to talk more about that, here's Dr. Apurva. Take a look. So, Dr. Apurva, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. And I really do hope we all have a happier new year than 2020.
So, let's start with the basics. In your opinion, how would you define research communication?
To be honest, there is very little research communication that exists or maybe existed till until a few years back. So it's very difficult to define. For me, research communication is essentially conveying the excitement of science, the thrill of finding new things in that all scientists experience, but very few people outside of science have seen or have experienced. So it is conveying that, it is conveying this mystery, this sense of mystery and this sense of solving a mystery to non-specialists audience.
I love that you put that. You said the thrill of conveying, what science is about, because I see that there's a big communication gap, and I honestly do believe it's most of the problem arises for the fact that scientists or other specialists, as you put it, don't necessarily communicate what they're doing. And so people tend to get this notion, I find, even with my own friends, they find that, oh, you do something else, dude. We don't even want to talk about that. We won't get. And I'm saying, like, science is very simple, to be very honest. It's what we do and every day. And so you having done this for quite some time now, you should know, like, after research communication, like, let's say someone attends a seminar or someone attends a session where they actually find out what science is. Have those barriers been broken and how has the perception changed?
Communication is essentially a two-way process, right? And quite often it is not, science communication or research communication is not treated as a two-way process, and I think therein lies the problem. It's not, it shouldn't be some person, a quote unquote learned person trying to disseminate what he or she has uncovered or learned to some people who are not aware of this and so on. It should be a fun, engaging and two-way process. And I think the barriers also are equally from both sides. One, as you say, that scientists tend to slightly be in their own world,
Yeah.
a little bit in the ivory tower, and they tend to use jargon and lingo, which is sort of second nature for them, because that's the world that they live in, but which non-specialists will not understand. So they tend to talk using that kind of lingo, which creates a block. And on the other hand, there is also equally a mental block amongst general, non-specialist audiences, and we very specifically and particularly avoid using the term general public or laymen and so on, because there's nothing like that. Scientist is just another profession, right? It's just
Mhm.
another vocation and thing that you do, which has its own way of working, which has its own lingo and so on. So there are specialists and there are non-specialists, and it's just a matter of the specialists communicating with the non-specialists. But the non-specialists also tend to have this block of, oh, you're a scientist, so what you do must be really very complicated, so they are also not as receptive as you would like. So
Right.
it's a two-way block of scientists not being able to say it in a very general, say what they want to say in a very general language, and people who are at the receiving end already having a mental block, like, oh, this is going to be something that I
Okay.
don't understand.
Here's where I find it very perplexed. Communication is key for anything. Even in relationships, no proper communication, you break up, right? So, and in terms of research, where I find that research is the thing which propels us, which has propelled us, and which will propel us into the future in any form of research, like whether it
Absolutely.
be in neuroscience, physics, chemistry, in IT, even.
Absolutely.
Look at our phones, how much they've gone forward. It all happened because of research. But
Yeah. Yeah.
unless information gets out, nobody's aware of that, and that I find it very perplexing because people would rather know, or rather do know, who's the men's cricketer of the year rather than who won the Nobel Prize last year. Right. And then
I know.
why do you think there is? Why do you think? I know you said the blocks are on both sides, but there has to be more. That's what I wanted to ask.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There certainly has to be more. So, one of the issues is that the process of science is quite often very opaque. It's like a black box. Um, at the most, people see the product of science, but not really the process. They don't understand how science works, how science moves forward, and there are several things to blame. The process of science is not a linear one. It's always a circular, and a lot of back and forth and looping, which is difficult probably for a non-specialist to grasp. um, there is also an issue with the way science is taught in school, where
Okay.
the focus is all on content and mugging up rules and theorems and laws and whatnot,
Yeah.
which is not really how science works. Science works with somebody asking a question, based on that came to them based on what they saw around them, and then trying to systematically answer that question by using scientific methods and scientific processes. This sense of what science is, or this sense that science is a process of finding out more and more about the properties of things around us, is lost in the way science is taught. The way science is taught in school is not, it doesn't give students the sense that this is a way of creating knowledge. It's more of, this is the information that is available and I need to remember it, and not how do I create new information.
I think you found out made a brilliant point that where the system is flawed. Like, the way we are made to think about science, it's not how it's supposed to be. Now, I get, now I've been complaining about the education system for quite some time, but my mom used to be like, no, you just not getting good enough marks. That's why you're complaining. But, but I honestly always felt, especially after becoming a researcher, especially after doing all these courses, I honestly felt that the emphasis was never put on me asking the right question. It was rather put on me knowing the definition. And yes,
Absolutely.
I agree, definitions need to be known not to, go forward, but that was not where the emphasis was. And as a scientist, as a researcher, hopefully in the future, which I want to be, I realized that that's not how it should be taught. It should be taught in a different way. And so that's what I wanted to know. Where that's where I wanted to go in sense of what can we do, not just we in the sense of like researchers or scientists. What can the world do to ensure that this notion of science being boring or complicated can be removed? This barrier can be removed. What can be done?
So there are these concepts like science cafes or even science on tap, where people get together to have a glass of beer and a scientist
Okay.
talks about some subject or the topic that they are working or researching on.
Do we
And
have
there's
that
a
in
very
India?
informal. There's one in Pune.
Really?
That is yes. There are. I think there are two or three science cafes all over India that I know of, where they have these in a cafe. They have these weekly or once in a month or twice in a month kind of sessions.
Oh, super cool.
Um, where people gather around, have a cup of tea or a coffee, and talk about science. There is also one science on tap, which I know of in Pune. I'm sure there are a few in other places like Bangalore and so on. Um, and the TIFR, for example, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, has been running a very popular series called Chai and Why,
Okay.
where they invite people to their campus, give them a cup of tea, and have a scientist give really a talk that is accessible to a very general audience. So
Wow.
these are various ways. I mean, face to face as well as digital ways for people to reach out and communicate their science to an audience. Also, I think it's the field is mature enough for us to recognize the need and the role of professional science communicators, because at times it's not possible for scientists to devote as much time
Mhm.
in communicating their sciences. And whereas science communicators as professionals can do this job of taking the research that is happening at the top levels of science to a non-specialist audience through various media, be
Right.
it writing a column in a newspaper or a blog or all the various things that we just discussed,
So
or
basically,
running a series of talks or something
yeah,
like
so
that.
basically like public relations for scientists. Why not? Like,
Absolutely,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
And I
needed.
think
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
absolutely. PR is definitely on the cards for science. And
Mhm.
a lot of research institutions are now investing in outreach and science communication and so on. And the place where I work, the Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, ISER Pune,
Yeah.
we have had a dedicated outreach team who has been involved in popularizing and communicating science, mainly to students and through science education through teachers, but also general public.
In terms of students, in terms of children rather, who are not necessarily opinionated yet, in terms of how it is, how what science is. Uh, shouldn't science technically be looked at as just a way to answer a question instead of like, oh, this is something I need to study to get certain amount of marks? No, I'm get that we in educational system is laid out. We cannot change it for I don't know maybe next million years. But but the point is like as research communicators, this is where I guess people like you, ma'am, definitely do come in and need to change the way the next generation looks at science and looks at the way of how to get answers from it. So, what would be the ways in which you would suggest right now?
Absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head, so to speak, when you said that it should be looked at as a way to answer questions. Science should be looked at as a way to answer questions, and which is one of the reasons why at my institute, for example, we've been working on getting students to learn science and getting teachers to teach science in a hands-on mode,
Okay.
by getting students to actually do things with their hands, and in an inquiry mode, where a certain topic is taught by asking students a question, posing a question to the students and getting them to find the answer through that, through actually trying out things, and not just googling it or something like that. It should be something that they need to actually do, experiment and find out the answer to. These hands-on activities and hands-on toys, even scientific toys, is a very great way of actually teaching science in a fun way, in a more inquiring and more constructive way. And by constructive, I mean constructivism, which is a philosophy in education which says that one learns by constructing knowledge on based on whatever already one knows. We keep on accumulating new knowledge by constructing it ourselves, and rather than being told something. So this way of building up our own knowledge is a it can be done very well through hands-on science toys.
Science and research is not a field, in my opinion. It's a way of thinking. It's curiosity.
Absolutely.
It's curiosity.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's you wanting to know more about what you're doing. It can be in, for example, like me, like I always talk about neuroscience, or rather, it can be in information technology where you want to be the best coder, but how does that happen? What does the machine understand? And that is what I find lost in today's society, and I really think it needs
Yeah,
to be there. And
absolutely.
so that is why I think,
And
yeah,
and it can be very very simple. I mean, it doesn't have to be always when students learn science like this, it doesn't always have to be something that is absolutely unknown or undiscovered.
yeah,
It
yeah,
can be just a rediscovery of things which are probably understood. For example, what happens if what is the effect of water or sunlight on a plant? If this is something that a school level or 7th or 8th standard student is asked, and if they are asked to experiment through experimentations, they can have a few plants
mhm,
where some are given sunlight all the time, some are kept, they get to plan this experiment, design this experiment, and understand what controls mean, what experimental factors mean, and so on. And they themselves note what difference they see in a plant that has a lot of sunlight, or a plant that has been regularly watered versus a plant that has not been
right.
regularly watered. It is much better than telling students that plants require water to grow. So why not teach various concepts in physics using the idea of musical instruments? Most college going kids are very interested in music and instruments and so on. So can you use an example like a guitar to teach some physics experiments? What will happen if instead of metal you use plastic strings? Or what is the difference between strings made of copper versus strings made of some other material, and so on? How does the tone and the pitch change if you increase or decrease the thickness of the strings?
Right.
Things like that. So many concepts in sound and in physics can be taught by using such examples which are engaging, which will catch the interest of the learners, and they get to experiment, they get to change around, maybe take an old guitar, play around with it, change strings, and see what happens to the pitch and the tone and so on, and learn physics in the process.
And who knows, maybe a
So
new musical instrument could be born. So,
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
yeah, that's the fun part of it, and I really want people to understand it, because I honestly look at definitions. I've grown older now. I see what these all rules and definitions of science. They're guidelines for people who want to ask questions. They're like, okay, these are the
Exactly.
rules. All right, this is what is the fact. This is what happens. So you can play around with everything else in between. So that is what I personally want to ensure that people understand. And
Yeah.
I think, ma'am, you're doing a wonderful job. Having seen the work you've done, having talked with people through this interview, like it's really wonderful knowing that stuff like this actually happened. I really think stuff like this should get out more. There should be more communication for research communication, I think. Well, it's been a pleasure. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. As you said, there is so much more to talk about and discuss. And one of the things that you mentioned, the importance and the value of basic science,
Mhm.
is something which is again something very very close to my heart. Perhaps
Yeah.
for another day.
No, 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 for sure.
But you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on your show. And let's hope that this excitement of science reaches through initiatives like yours, reaches more and more people. All the best for your PhD and for your career as well.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, that's the end of our interview. And I honestly have nothing more to add. I mean, you heard it all. There's so much opportunity in this field, and there's so much to be done. And I really hope after watching this video, you've inspired, or rather, you at least wanted to be a part of this movement. I really hope you are. So, I hope you liked this video, and if you did like our content today, please do like, share and subscribe. And if you didn't, well then you hurt my feelings. So please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much.